Twisted, psychotic, and dangerous are some of the things we can describe these upcoming criminals. But behind bars can also describe them. Today we're bringing you the most dangerous inmates in the world, from actual cannibals to some of the most terrifying terrorists in history. Let's get started. Number 10. Robert Maudsley. Kicking off our list is UK's most dangerous serial killer, Hannibal the Cannibal, who has been locked up in a solitary prison cell underneath Wakefield Prison for over 4 decades. This is a twisted tale, so brace yourself. One of Maudsley's most famous statements is saying, "If I had killed my parents in 1970, none of these people would have died." These people refers to the 4 people he murdered, 3 of which are fellow prisoners he brutally murdered. His nickname Hannibal the Cannibal was earned because he alleged to have eaten part of the brain of one of the men he killed, which also gave him the nickname the Brain Eater among fellow inmates. As a child, he says he had deep psychological scars from being raped as a child, and as a teenager, he was a sex worker to support his drug addiction. After several suicide attempts, he admitted to doctors that he heard voices telling him to kill his parents. In 1974, he garroted John Farrell after the man showed him pictures of children he had sexually abused. After his arrest, he was found unfit to stand trial and was sent to Broadmoor Hospital, where he and another resident tortured a child molester to death for over 9 hours. Afterward, he was convicted of manslaughter and sent to Wakefield Prison. There he killed 2 prisoners. He would try to lure other inmates into a cell. Those who fell for it met horrific and painful ends. One was garroted and stabbed to death before being hidden under Maudsley's bed. The other Maudsley stabbed, hacked at his skull, and smashed in his head against the wall. He was deemed too dangerous for a normal cell and had to have a 2-cell unit specially built in the basement of the prison. Number 9. Matthew Hale. Then we have Matthew F. Hale. What makes Hale truly dangerous is that he's set to be released in 2037. Before Hale ended up with a 40-year prison term, he started developing powerful twisted ideas at the age of 12. He read books on Hitler and made a group at his school based on his ideas. This escalated to forming the white supremacist group the World Church of the Creator, a group that believes the white race is the creators of all worthwhile civilization. They also believe that in order to attain a white world without Jews and non-whites, a racial holy war is necessary. Clearly, this guy's head is a bag full of cats, as they say. Hale believed that he was the highest priest. He ended up being charged for organizing the murder of Judge Joan Lefkow by an FBI agent. Number 8. Dwight York. Dwight York is the holder of the most horrifying kind of record ever. In terms of the number of victims and number of incidents, his case was reported as the largest prosecution for child molestation to ever be directed at a single person in the history of the U.S. Meet Dwight York, also known as Dr. Malachi York, who started his own cult in New York. This cult was also called the New Albion Nation, and with the support of a surprising amount of people, he forced his own twisted beliefs on them. Anything from Islamic teaching and ancient Egyptian beliefs to stories of aliens, hatred of whites, and conspiracy theories. He planned to separate the U.S. and create his own state. But his arrest in May of 2002 halted his plans, and in 2004 he was convicted on federal charges of racketeering, financial reporting violations, and the most horrifying, transporting minors across state lines to be sexually molested. Number 7. Rodney Alcala. Next up is Rodney Alcala, also known as the dating game killer. During one of his murder sprees in 1978, he made an appearance on the TV show The Dating Game, and he actually won the competition. He won a date with the bachelorette Cheryl Bradshaw, who then refused to go out with him because he was creepy. That decision saved her life and made Alcala snap and kill 3 women. It turned out that Alcala was a serial killer and a rapist who enjoyed toying with his victims. He would strangle them until they lost consciousness, wait until they woke up, and repeat the process several times before he finally killed them. Police detectives would later describe him as a killing machine, likened him to Ted Bundy. Alcala had a horrifying collection of over 1,000 photographs of women, teenage girls and teenage boys in sexually explicit poses. There is no estimation of his true victim count, but his death sentence is for 5 murders. To this day, he remains in California State Prison, Corcoran. Number 6. Dennis Rader. The BTK serial killer Dennis Lynn Rader is living out his 10 consecutive life sentences at El Dorado Correctional Facility in Kansas, U.S. BTK is an abbreviation he gave himself, which means bind, torture, kill. He was known as the BTK Strangler or the BTK Killer. While he appeared to his community as a normal and polite between 1974 and 1991, He killed 10 people in Wichita and Park City, Kansas. And not only that, but he psychotically sent letters to the police and newspapers detailing his horrific crimes. He went through a decade-long pause and went back to his bind, torture, and kill crimes in 2003, which led to his arrest in 2005 and a guilty plea. His trial is unlike anything you've ever seen before. He vividly described the murders in detail and made no apologies. After the victims' families said their statements, he went on a 30-minute monologue that was so dramatic that the prosecutor likened it to an Academy Awards acceptance speech. As he serves his consecutive 10 life sentences, he is currently in solitary confinement for his protection. Number 5. Barry Mills. Stepping away from serial killers for a moment, next up we have Barry Mills, a ruthless drug lord and a leader of the white supremacist gang, the Aryan Brotherhood. In prison, Mills's crimes include the murder of at least 14 people and armed robbery. After he was placed at San Quentin State Prison in California, he joined a gang and planned a gang riot that claimed the lives of 2 black prisoners. In 2006, he was sentenced for murder, drug trafficking, fraudulent business dealings, and a multitude of other charges and conspiracies, including starting a riot. You'll find him at ADX, Florence, serving 4 consecutive life sentences. Number 4. Robert Hanssen. The man responsible for possibly the worst intelligence disaster in U.S. history is currently locked up at, you guessed it, ADX Florence. Before Robert Hanssen went and sold American intelligence secrets to the Soviet and Russian intelligence for 22 years, making over $1.4 million out of it, and it should be noted that he was also paid in diamonds. Hanssen seemed like your average, indecisive guy. He tried his hand at a lot of different careers. He first applied to be a cryptographer, but he didn't make it. He went on to study dentistry, then business, then accounting. After quitting his job as an accounting officer, he joined the police force, and finally he started working for the FBI. When his spine was caught, he was charged in 2001 and sent to prison for 15 life terms. Number 3. Eric Rudolph. Coming in at number 3 is Eric Rudolph. Rudolph is notoriously known as the Olympic Park bomber, whose series of bombings across the southern United States between the years of 1996 and 1998 resulted in the injuries of more than 100 people and the murder of 2. Until he was caught in 2003, Rudolph was one of the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives for his crimes, which included the Centennial Olympic Park bombing at the 1996 Summer Olympics in Atlanta. He's also responsible for 3 bombings, an abortion clinic in Sadie Springs in 1997, a lesbian bar in 1997, and another abortion clinic in Alabama in 1998. To this day, as part of his plea bargain and in order to avoid a trial and potential death sentence, he's serving 4 consecutive life sentences at the maximum security ADX Florence Prison near Colorado. Number 2. Terry Nichols. In the next cell to Eric Rudolph on death row at ADX Florence, and with 161 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole, is Terry Lynn Nichols, an American domestic terrorist who was an accomplice in the Oklahoma City bombing. In 1994 and 1995, he and co-conspirator Timothy McVeigh planned the truck bombing of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City on April 19, 1995. Nichols' actions took the lives of 168 people. His trial in 1997 convicted him of conspiracy to use a weapon of mass destruction and 8 counts of involuntary manslaughter for killing federal law enforcement personnel. Number 1. Ramzi Yousef. And at number 1, we have Ramzi Yousef, whose criminal record is a mile long and is quite frankly horrifying. His plans included what's known as the Bohinka Plot, which was a plan to assassinate Pope John Paul II and plant bombs inside several United and Delta Airlines flights out of Bangkok. Ramzi Yousef, by the way, Ramzi Yousef is actually believed to be an alias. Anyway, Yousef is a terrorist who is one of the main proprietors of the 1993 World Trade Center bombing and in the bombing of the Philippine Airlines Flight 434. On February 26, 1993, a car bomb was detonated right below Tower 1 of the World Trade Center in New York City. The bomb was intended to bring down the North Tower into the south and kill thousands of people. The plan failed, but had a devastating alternative. It ended up injuring 1,042 civilians, firefighters, and police officers, killing 6 civilians. Yousef was arrested while trying to set up a bomb and a baby doll in Islamabad, Pakistan. He received 2 life sentences and 240 years for his part in the bombing and the Bohinka Plot. Right now, he's serving his life sentences at ADX Florence, Colorado, U.S. And these are all the dangerous inmates we have for you today. What did you think of them? Are they as terrifying as you'd imagine? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. And before you go, if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to Weeklypedia. And click that notification bell to be alerted whenever we upload a new video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.